Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Lookism, episode 6. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, sadly, Diakwa's whole, wanting to audition with his raps doesn't go through because, once again, they just see him for who he is. They don't see him for who he is. They just see him based on his appearance. It's like, yeah, let's not let him in. And was it Hobin? He's the one that got the, audition and everything, and they're celebrating him and his style and everything, and he just goes back to beating on Diakwa. It's like, oh, well, why? And even his buddies are like, who are all about it. They're like, oh man, why do you hate him so much? And he's like, oh, why isn't it easy to tell he's a smelly piggy and just like slapping him around? Like, it's a sad thing of like, yeah, no matter, and that's the thing for Hyung Seok. It's like, once again, no matter what, I had the fortune that I got to reinvent myself. I got to go to a new school and I got to be in a new body. But everyone else, they didn't get those same platitudes. Like, I thought things were bad at my school, but it was like, no matter where I go, there are other people like me in the exact same position, And that's when he saw the way Diakwa is getting like bullied, it bothered him to some extent, because even Jiho was like, yeah, until I started hanging around you, I was literally in that same position. So he stands up in this moment. Hyung Seok stands up for Diakwa, and Jae Yol is there with him, as well as Jin Seong, and even Vasco shows up, and it's kind of like, okay, let's fight. But it's like, nah, Hobin's not all about that, so he bounces. And everyone's talking like, oh my god, like, is Jin Seok and Hyung Seok and, Jin Seong, Hyung Seok and Bosco's like, oh my god, if they formed, they'd be the ultimate alliance, and like, the vocal, class couldn't stand up to him or whatever. But Vasco's still kind of like, oh, you only want to help out Diakwa because, hey, he's someone that you can bully around. And it's like, no, that's not it. Also, I love that he's like, also, Byamjin, make sure you take care of my phone. He's like, please don't let it get cracked. It's so expensive to get that fixed. I was like, oh, it didn't even correlate in my head last episode. I was like, oh, that's probably how his phone got cracked, is during the fight with, probably the fight with Hyung Seok. So, or maybe it was just kind of, I don't think he ever said how it got cracked. I never put that together, but it's just kind of like I don't want it to get cracked again. So if I have to tussle, let me do my thing. But obviously him and, sadly, Hyung Seok are still on the opposite sides of each other, because immediately he's like, wait, am I the reason why Vasco didn't show up to school? Is he going to show up for vengeance? It's like, once again, he thinks you guys are on the opposite side of things, which even, Diakwa had said the same thing, like, why are you being friends with me? You're just being friends with me just so it make you more popular. But even he was like, later on, fine, do whatever you want to. You're going to try and use me? Fine. I'm using you in return, because you trying to use me is just going to help me in the long run, because your popularity is going to help booster me, because people will pay attention to him now because he hangs around Hyung Seok, or rather, Hyung Seok is kind of hanging around him. But it's that thing of, I think it's that beautiful realization for Hyung Seok that, right, I had the fortitude, once again, this fortune of having this other body, and he talks about how, at the end of the day, there's not two, there's only one me, and he feels like even though he has this other body, nothing has changed. I'm like, I'm still that same helpless person I always was. I just have a new, way to present myself to the world, and that's this new body, so I don't have to go through everything. For him, it's like, right, I haven't really grown enough, I haven't really changed. I'm still that same person I was back when I first transferred to the school, before I even got the new body. So I thought that was such a profound moment for him. But helping out Diak by taping his audition, for the festival, his sign-up sheet for the festival that Hobin and them tore apart, just to put him down, and then later on, he's just keeping to himself, writing his raps, and they're just kind of like, you're lesser than, and so once again, something's broken in them that they feel the need to pick on someone and they feel it's weaker than them and less deserving than them. It's like, this guy doesn't even have the same opportunities as you. And I didn't even realize until he pointed out, because I saw the posters, I didn't even realize one of them was Eminem until he was like, yo, I want to be like Eminem. And I was like, oh, that's it. Because to me, I always kind of, that caught me off guard a little bit, because I was like, right, I know webtoons, manhwa, and like manga in general can be very like reference like real people, and I've not seen every anime in the world, so there's probably plenty of anime someone will be like, oh, this and this and that. I see it in manga, manhwa, and webtoons, but like I feel like I don't see it that often in straight up animes where they make references like that to like pop culture people. Like, he's like, yo, I want to be a rapper like Eminem, because Eminem was the same way. People beat him up, and like he's become, I think we could all make the argument, like, I mean, for a lot of people, Eminem's like in the top 5 of like rappers, maybe even of all time for some people. So for Diok, like, that's someone he looks up to, he admires. It's like, right, this is someone who came from a struggling background to become such a great rapper, and put all his pain, all his hurt into what are like, some smash hits that he has, even like some B-sides and stuff like that, or just like, and obviously for him, it's the situation of him and his grandmother. Like, he's trying to become successful because I think he wants to kind of pay back his grandmother. So him and Hyung Seok are kind of in very similar things. But like Diok, Hwa doesn't have the same relationship with his grandmother that Hyung Seok has with it, because he never took out his bullying on his grandmother, just like Hyung Seok sadly took it out on his mom. Yeah, like Hoban and them show up to, it's like, oh, your mom's making all this food, and even say like, oh, it's terrible, and they threw it away, even though they ate it all, didn't really pay for it. It's like, hey, we're buddies, Diok Hawk, so like, yeah, your grandma's gonna feed us, right? And and it's sad, and he just like, they're running their mouths about his grandmother and her food and embarrassing him and stuff like that. Obviously, the more Hyung Seok tries to like reach out to him, the more other people just kind of look at it as like, oh man, look at you. Even Han Yuel is kind of like, she's kind of like, hey, your friend, like, because he apparently has to clean up the classroom because he almost got into a fight with the vocal dance club, and it's like, oh, but you were just sticking up for your friend. And it's just like, oh, he's wanting the festival's coming up and stuff like that. He's like, well, I gotta go. You don't have to help me out. Thanks, but no thanks. And she's just like, oh, I'm so in love with you. I love her reactions. And so like, she's just like, oh, she's so smitten. It's like, oh, I do declare. She kind of gives off those vibes and stuff. So, but Hyung Seok also, resonates with that, because it's like, right, he never sings his songs out loud either. He's always kept them to himself. And while Diok Hua was outside after getting beat up, he heard Hyung Seong sing, and I was like, because it wasn't until the music festival element got added to the episode, I was like, oh, I remember where this is going. I was like, right, they're going to team up. I was like, wow, I completely forgot about it. Once again, it's going to be so interesting also getting to hear him sing, because I don't even remember if they ever included lyrics in the webtoon. I don't even remember if it was like there were any lyrics written. I mean, obviously it's like you have to read it. That's the problem with like musical stuff like that. But hearing it in like hearing a voice attached to it, you're like, oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so beautiful, and it just kind of makes you go. It's one of those one of those songs and just voices that you kind of go like, ooh, you feel it in your soul because it's coming from his soul. And even Diok Hua was kind of like, oh my god, I got to find where this voice is, and found Hyung Seok. And it's like, oh my god, that was so embarrassing. And taking the form from Hyung Seok, he's like, will you perform in the festival with me? Because Hoban and his buddy are like doing a duo thing, and they're planning on winning. So, I completely forgot about it, because they have done it at least twice. They've set up the fact is that Hyung Seok will like hum to himself. I was like, I completely, because they've done it. They were setting the seeds for that a while back, but it's also like another moment, and this is another avenue for him to kind of like embrace, like kind of put his voice out there. It won't be in his own body, but for the first time in ever, he'll be able to just kind of, use his voice to sing, and also if he's able to help, I mean, obviously it's going to be embarrassing putting himself in front of a lot of people. He doesn't have stage experience, but to my recollection, I mean, you can assume, but like to my recollection, I think it ended up being a smash. Once again, it's like you don't have the benefit of like actually having a voice associated with it, so that's going to be interesting when like the performance actually goes down. Like it's actually going to be pretty dope when you get to hear Diakwa like rap and Hyung Seok sing. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see where all of that ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.